Okay, it's the next day and I'm back in the garage working on the 818. Started out the morning, figured out the wiring on the light switch and got that all wired and neat and tucked up out of the way. I wired up a few more things on the, not the immobilizer, the keyless entry. I wired in the tax signal, so I didn't know if it successfully started, and a couple of other things. Got the immobilizer mounted back where it goes, and then started testing the light switches, and they all worked great over here on the coach. But when I turned the blinkers on, the ECU started to smoke. I had forgotten that at one point I had intended to try and reuse some signals on the ECU for blinkers and brights so that I could display them on my digital dash, and I had not removed those wires where I'd wired them up, and so I sent 12 volts to a 5-volt channel, and I smoked the ECU. It's over there somewhere. I put it away, but it's bad. I melted a chip completely. Couldn't even get the part number off the chip. It was so melted. So I had to order a new ECU and immobilizer and key all together. So certainly was a stupid, boneheaded, costly mistake. And I now know that this ECU has a lot of 5-volt signals instead of 12-volt signals. I just assumed everything on it would have been a 12-volt signal. It's a car, right? So lesson learned. The gas tank's also out. So the ECU's gone because it's got to be replaced. The gas tank is out because I'm working on the shifter linkage. Yesterday I kind of set the shifter down where I wanted it, and it was looking different than it is now. It was in the factory Toyota base plate, but I decided that that wasn't a great fit for what I was doing because of the walls around it, so I spent most of the day fabbing up a new plate, and I got to get some shorter bolts. I'll certainly do that. Those bolts won't need to stick up that high, and I got to clean up this hole right here. I need more bits on my Dremel so that I can clean up that hole. And then I started working on shifter routing, and so I can come out right here and go through that beam, and I'm going to weld a tube in that beam so that I'm not making Swiss cheese out of my frame. But that will come out right down here. Let's see if I can get a picture of that with the camera. Come out right there, and that will go into a very short shaft that'll run down here, and then come out on the other side. I'm gonna have one on each side. So this is the passenger side. It will run basically through underneath the motor mount, and yeah, like that. Come out here, so I'll have one that comes out on each side. The one that'll come out on this side, I'll go through an L so that push and pull will be up and down, and that will rotate this one up and down, which gets your shifter side to side, so first, third, fifth. And then the other one will come out this side and do the same thing. We'll go down through under motor mount right there, and it'll come out to this one, and it'll be a straight one because it'll do in and out. So I'm gonna have a flip, so when I push here, I want it to pull here, so it'll be pivot in the middle. The rod will push out, it'll pull in the top. Yes. So one on each side. That way I don't have to deal with an inner and an outer on my jack shaft. I can just have solid spinning shafts. It'll be a lot easier. So it allows me to use solid linkage all the way. I don't have to have any cables. So I think it's going to work. My only concern is right here. Obviously I did have to drill through my frame. It's a pretty strong frame. I think it'll be fine, but I'm probably going to try and sleeve that anyway. I've got a crooked hole right now because I didn't remove the gas tank the first time. Tried to be lazy and drill it from the back side, and with the header in the way, it didn't work. I either need to remove the gas tank, remove the header. Probably need to remove both, so probably the last thing I'll do today before I put up is drop the header, get it out of the way, and that way I'll be able to cleanly work down there. Now that I know where the interferences are, I can get the header out of the way. And probably done for this weekend though. I got some friends in town for the weekend, so probably be next weekend before I get out here and start working on it again. But maybe in an evening I'll be able to get that cleaned up and get that powder coated maybe, and get some shorter bolts and get that mounted down permanently where I want it. And maybe in the evenings I'll have a little time to do some mock-up with some, I'm using wooden dowels for the mock-up. It's a lot easier to work with than metal for mock-up. So anyway, got to get a new ECU, got an immobilizer, and get to work on this shift linkage, and then we'll put the gas tank back in and try to run it and shift it. So in my last video I had started talking about running the linkage for the shifter through the back and running my jack shaft on the outside. And so today I came out to really start working on it. It's hard to see, but it took me basically all day to make those two pass-throughs in the bottom frame. I couldn't run the shift linkage above the frame because that would have put the gas tank up way too high. And I didn't want to go below the frame because I didn't want moving shift linkage to be the lowest part of the car. I could just see a speed bump taking that out and not being able to shift gears. So I decided to go through the frame, and I didn't want to just drill a hole in it and pass through. I guess I was worried about the strength of the frame. It's a kind of pretty important part of the car. I mean, it's triangulated, and there's another bar in the middle there that's kind of hidden by the wiring. So I don't know that it's a super critical part, but I still thought it would be better to actually box it in. So what I did was I cut square holes, or used a little cut-off wheel and cut square holes, and then passed some 1-inch tube through, and then welded it in so that it kind of reinforced the holes that I put in the frame. So those now come out right there. And so I'm going to clip this video so that I can turn the flash on, and we'll pick it up down bottom.